Hello, Teenage America. Welcome back to another episode of J.Scott Gariby uploaded a whole bunch of shit to YouTube. I'm going to watch it with you, not to diminish the value of, or steal views from J.Scott Gariby, but because I'm going to watch him anyway. In fact, in an effort to perfect my YouTube content creation and ironically to save time here, I've watched these videos several times today. We say hello to Jilly Beans, first in the live chat. Hey, what do you say? If you haven't watched our previous videos on J.Scott Gariby, I'm not going to recap. We have to move with the quickness. J.Scott Gariby says more controversial things about race, death, and Orion Acaba. We're going to go full steam ahead. If you don't know why we're here, if you don't know what we're doing, you're going to figure it out in short order. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Tim Frey, if you see any questions in the live chat, lead them astray. Take a lesson out of the playbook of Orion Acaba. Folks, take it from the Metatron of our Lord and Savior Orion Acaba, one J.Scott Gariby. The way to be a good player is apparently be a bad player. Orion Acaba is the second Gary Gygax. Gary Gygax is the secular messiah. Dungeons and Dragons is the number one secular transformative tool. The number one secular transformative tool that has ever been graced our grand world. Yeah, it's all been a big setup. Orion Acaba is at your D&D table today. We don't have a clear definitive answer whether or not he's at your Pathfinder First Edition table. Perchance J.Scott Gariby will answer that question for us. Jay, are you watching? Honey bun? He seems to be in a better mood today. Okay? Maybe there is something to this notion that he's trolling us. Yesterday, I made quite a big deal about, oh my God, the poor guy. Is he okay? Well, I don't know. He seems to be, in one shape or form, quite better. In another way, still the same old J.Scott Gariby. And I will say this. Thank God for J.Scott Gariby's sake that the Venn diagram of African Americans and people who play D&D still seems to be not that large. Because for a dude who makes his way in the fairgrounds of funky Philly, this guy seems to be asking for trouble. Not that I think that he should get any. I love everybody and pray now more than ever for the safety of my Christian brother, J.Scott Gariby, because there's a reason that I titled this video, J.Scott Gariby says more controversial things about race, death, and Orion Acaba. Woo, buddy! Let's get to the video. Say, Tim Frey comments, JSG is settling himself up as the good Judas, a la the linchpin for Christ's ascendancy in the Gospel of Judas' last temptation of Christ. Post-angst Gen Xer, good evening. Good evening to you. Here we go. Fair use, fair use, fair use. The purpose of this video is not to take any views or anything or to demean, diminish, destroy, or whatever, or to any, you know how it is, where it's a transformative work, yada, yada, fair marketplace of ideas, yada, yada, the score, boilerplate thing, adoption of fair use. Here we go. We're going to start with a video entitled, where should we start? Oh, let's just play this bad boy in order. Here we go. We're going to start with a good friend, J.Scott Gariby, asking the following question. Am I indeed the foremost Orion Acaba expert? Let me do this. I'm going to share the screen. Don't worry. Playback speed. We're going to go ahead and start off rocking out a good 1.5 speed. Not quite double speed, but folks, we've learned not to waste time here. We'll be here all friggin' night, right? At one point in the proceedings, I will be interrupted in about 20 minutes to talk to my kids. Don't worry, my kids are approaching 14-year-old, so they are not going to spend long time talking to dad, right? Here we go. Asking a question, is J.Scott Gariby the foremost expert on Orion Acaba? We've said, hey, folks, J.Scott, you're not the expert on Orion Acaba. You've never met the dude, and all of this speculation about Orion Acaba is taking place and one place only, in your head.
This is your pal, Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about Orion Acaba and returning Orion Acaba to his rightful place, which is at the honored right hand of the second.
Don't get that twisted.
Second best dungeon master in the world, Matthew Mercer, at the chair that Orion Acaba has earned with 10 years of labor making.
10 years of labor. Never appearing on Critical Role, not talking about Critical Role, working sporadically in the voice acting, business, starting a couple of Kickstarters that didn't go well, starting a GoFundMe for a former mod and then taking the money and not giving it to her, making a social media post at the beginning of this year and then kind of not doing much since. A lot of labor. Hey, Orion, if you're out there, fellow alcoholic and addict, the struggle is real, right, baby? It is what it is. I'm not trying to besmirch you. I'm just trying to set the record straight for Mr. J.Scott Garibay.
Every single Critical Role co-founder, a millionaire. So he's earned that seat. It's only just that he be returned to it. And today I want to talk about,
in your humble opinion, right?
The expert on Orion Acaba. All right, okay. So previously I said in one of my videos, I am the foremost expert in the world on Orion Acaba. And
having never met the dude, bearing in mind that there's no books written about Orion Acaba, etc.
A gentleman came into the comments and was like, hey, where's your source for XYZ? And he asked a question. He says, you said this, and where's your source for it?
Also, whenever J.Scott Garibay says anything about the comment section, just know that I read his comment section, almost every comment, before he deletes them. You can always press X to doubt on all this stuff. It's all just, also anything that J.Scott Garibay says, you can almost always press X to doubt, not necessarily because he's lying, but because you can press X to doubt on a lot of what he experiences, because it might very well be just his imagination.
Right. And it's interesting. And he's like, you said you were an expert, right? And I was like, hey, you got a good point there, buddy. That's pretty wild. So what I want to talk about today is I want to start the discussion. Am I the foremost expert on Orion Acaba in the world? Okay. Because I think it's an interesting conversation. And I'm also very thankful. Who am I? Scott Garibay, right? Well, I am answering that question through Orion Acaba, the study of Orion Acaba.
You're answering the question, who is J.Scott Garibay, through Orion Acaba. When the question at hand is, are you the expert in Orion Acaba? An individual you've never met, an individual who's been out of the public eye for over 10 years.
Acaba has really helped me answer a lot of questions about myself, right? I believe that Orion Acaba is the most important Dungeons & Dragons player in the world, and that if you study him...
Now, that might be evidence alone that you are not the foremost expert in Orion Acaba. Having established, by your own admission, things that you do not debate, that he cheated on dice rolls, cheated on spell slots, made other people at the table uncomfortable, brought a live flamethrower to the set, admonished a fan of the Critical Role community for doing something that the other members of Critical Role admonished Orion Acaba, saying, that's not our policy, you shouldn't do that, and then got himself kicked off the show after 27 episodes.
Your life will get better, okay? And that's definitely what's happening to me, right?
Your life is not getting better, dude.
I have a much better understanding of myself because of my study of Orion Acaba.
Debatable.
But I said, hey, I am the foremost expert in the world on Orion Acaba. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because I have done something that no one else in the world has done. I have done 100 videos on Orion Acaba.
That's like saying I'm the foremost expert in celery farming because, I masturbated 5 times yesterday. Those two things are unrelated. You know what I mean?
Subject of Orion Acaba. I know no one else in the world has done this. I know.
You don't know that. You don't know that. There's no methodology where one person can search on YouTube for Have you done a search for videos on Orion Acaba? There are people that may have done 100 videos on Orion Acaba. Define videos about Orion Acaba, because there are plenty of people who do videos about Critical Role. If there are people that have done videos about Critical Role, people who have done videos about the first 27 episodes of Critical Role, if those videos number up to 100, then they technically could be said to have done 100 videos on Orion Acaba. Meanwhile, at this point, I think you may have done more than 100 episodes. It doesn't matter. Do you know there's a freakazoid out there in the internet called Sophia's Emporium who's done like over like probably 500 episodes on me? She is not the foremost expert on me because everything she thinks and talks about me is just like farfanoogle.
No, because I'm not to look it up. I know there's nobody.
You haven't looked it up. You just know. Okay. Meanwhile, that's establishing the fact that you're not the foremost expert, or there's no reason to believe that you're the foremost expert on anything
in the world who did 100 videos on Orion Acaba, right? It's just, I know it, right? Like, I defy you to prove me wrong. You're not going to be able to, right?
You're just assuming things. So you're not the foremost expert in anything. And meanwhile, this is, do not get any degrees from the University of Phoenix online. You know why? No offense. Sue me, University of Phoenix. You gave this guy a master's degree in something, apparently, unless he's lying. Okay? That's the quality of education from the University of Phoenix. Okay? I believe. If I'm wrong, if I'm doing it, I'll do a retraction. If someone could check this dude's LinkedIn and I've named the wrong university. Are you fucking kidding me?
And the reason why is it's logic and patterns, right? So like,
that's not logic and patterns.
And the other,
you don't even know what logic and patterns are. Dude.
The reason why I'm saying, hey, I know more about Orion Acaba than anybody else in the world is a bunch of creators came up here.
How about this? People who might know more about Orion Acaba, any friend of Orion Acaba, you could argue that maybe Orion Acaba probably knows more about Orion Acaba than you do. How about people who have met Orion Acaba in life? Orion Acaba's landlord. If Orion Acaba has girlfriends, I don't know how he rolls, girlfriends or boyfriends, right? His mom, dad, brothers and sisters.
I was like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And I asked them for sources, right? And then they supplied those sources, or this one's very important, or they didn't, or they couldn't, right? So I believe I know what's true and what's false about Orion Acaba because
you don't know anything about Orion Acaba. You do not. I'm not gonna do this.
Because my opinion on Orion Acaba has been forged in the internet, right? Like, and I'll tell you, nothing.
Dude, evidentiary support for the fact that J.Scott Gariby may be the dimmest person on YouTube. He just stated that he's an expert because his opinion has been forged on the internet, right? It's a cheap joke, but you set me up for it, J.Scott Gariby, right? I have no sympathy for you because apparently you can do a little bit of an acting role. You could be like acting like you're freaking out one day and they'd be totally fine. I don't know, because you know what I mean. You're probably in a manic phase yesterday and you're a little bit calmed down today. That's the silliest thing one of the silliest things I think I've ever heard today. You know, this week, this month. I don't know. I've been listening to a lot of you, so I hear a lot of stupid things.
Nothing in the world is faster than an internet person running to their keyboard to say somebody else is wrong.
That's a very cute thing to say. Where did you hear that from? Bill Maher?
Right. The other, now you're like, well, wait a second, there might be some other expert. Well, the way I know there isn't another expert over on Acaba is because Dungeons and Dragons is a niche topic, right? There are no academic credentials. You can go get an academic credential in, like, I have a degree in political science, right?
You have an undergraduate degree where you may have majored in political science. Your master's from the University of Phoenix. I have no idea what it's in, but I don't think it's in political science.
Many universities have a degree in political science. No degree in the world gives a degree. No university in the world gives a degree on the topic of Dungeons and Dragons, and that is much.
Actually, there are plenty of universities that may actually give a degree in game theory or game design. So you're actually wrong. You're absolutely totally wrong.
Broader macro level, right? So there's certainly nobody who's done academic papers on the subject of Orion Acaba. So like,
maybe not on Orion Acaba, but on games, on game design, on plays, on role-playing games, I guarantee you someone has done a PhD dissertation on fucking role-playing games.
And so that's one of the reasons why I said that. Why I said I am the foremost.
Hands on the road, jackass.
Most expert in the world.
Hands on the wheel. Sorry, that's me.
On the subject of Orion Acaba, because I know nobody else did more, nobody, and here's where we get in trouble. He said, hey, and I have said this. I was like, I did my research.
You didn't do research. Watching
that person has an excellent point, right? Does what I've been doing count as research?
No, you just make up shit in your head, and you think that Orion Acaba has been on 72 episodes of a show when he's actually been on 27 episodes on a show. You think that 3,000 people watch you every day based on apparently on the fact that you have a little over 3,000 subscribers. We're going to see you say crazy ass shit about race today. You said that the first time you saw black people, African American people picking cotton in a movie was in 2025. You were shocked by the fact that you saw a movie by an African American director, citing the only other African American director you could really think of was Tyler fucking Perry. You are a sheltered, small-minded individual who is, I think, has severe mental health issues. God bless you, sir.
That's an excellent point. I've read everything I can on Orion Acaba.
What have you read on Orion Acaba? He doesn't even have a Wikipedia entry, which was part of the thing that you got all cheesed out about.
Watched everything I can on Orion Acaba.
Which is what? You yourself said that there's the dearth of information about him, that people aren't making videos about him.
And I've listened on Orion Acaba. Does that count as research? And that's my...
Does it? Because all that stuff says he's not a good guy who got kicked out of Critical Role for good reasons. Or whether some of those things were opinion pieces or people just talking about them watching Critical Role on YouTube. Is that research? And to the degree that it is research, what research about what? People, voice actors playing a game of D&D on YouTube.
A question to you, right? Now, I think it does.
And none of that is about Orion Acaba.
Right? But if you're like, no, that's not research, right? Only an academic, like person who's under peer review can say that they did research, then that's valid. And then I could say, okay, I'm the foremost observer, right? And well, what's the difference?
Wow. Well, I guess I'm the foremost observer of J.Scott Gariby. Whoa, look where it got me. Whoa.
Language matters on this channel. Like if you don't care, if you ever use the
language does not matter on your channel, sir.
Word semantic in your entire life, please don't spend another minute on this channel. Head on over to Dungeon Dudes, where
Do you think that you understand the word semantic? You do not. You may think you understand the word semantic. Let's not. You want to start saying words? Let's start saying words. I think it's ironic that you broach the subject of the word semantics on your channel, sir.
Where people use terms like semantic, like the difference between words doesn't matter. That's not here, right? This is like that ain't my world, right? Like words matter, right?
Yeah, words matter. Words matter. These problems matter.
So should I stop saying I've done my research, right? Or should I say I'm the foremost observer, right? Because I've observed and then I've shared my opinion.
Why'd you say you're the world's foremost fantasyist about Orion Acaba? You could say, I would even sell for you saying you're the Metatron of Orion Acaba at this point, because you believe that he's giving you spiritual. We're gonna get to it. You believe that he's like transmitting some sort of spiritual message at this point. It sounds like about the golden path of the American male death. That's the latest iteration we're going to get from J.Scott Gariby today about what Orion Acaba encoded into the 72 episodes of Critical Role that he was not on. You know what I mean? And in case you're curious, I watched a smattering of Orion Acaba's appearances on Critical Role, which was torture because Critical Role at its best has got women who are like eights, dudes who are insufferable, and Orion Acaba, who is, if I met this guy back in the day, me and my friends would absolutely beat the shit out of him. He is absolutely insufferable. 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 And if people think that I'm being objectivist, I'm being mean and sexist when I rate the women, that's all that I'm sorry. These people, it's just because if they were like out there just being themselves or actresses, I don't think I would be rating them like that. It's the fact that in the scenario that they're presented, this show fucking sucks. I don't have a problem playing D&D. I don't have a problem casually walking by other people that are playing D&D. But the concept of sitting there and the fact that people thought that this was a valuable thing to do goes to show you how fucking lame people who play TTRPGs can be.
Right. The other question is, if I'm not making any truth claims and I'm not presenting any facts, I'm just observing and then presenting my opinion, can I qualify as an expert? Right? And
no.
And to that viewer, to that commenter's point, he had an excellent point, right? Like he had a great point that, generally experts are like, oh, we peer review research, credentials, all that kind of thing. My point is, I could say I'm the foremost expert in the world in Orion Acaba because he's not a body of knowledge. He's not a discipline, right?
What?
He is one element under Dungeons and Dragons, which has no.
He's not an element under Dungeons and Dragons. That's like saying that anybody who plays Dungeons and Dragons becomes a part of Dungeons and Dragons, which is not how it works, sir. It's not how it works.
Taxonomy. It has no official studied structure the way a body of knowledge or discipline would, right?
Well, that's not true, FY, in case you're curious, which is why people have written about Dungeons and Dragons. There are several books that you have cited in other videos. You just move goalposts all around just to make whatever point you want to make in each particular video, which is why there are only growing people on a community of people on YouTube who have one net opinion about you, and that is you're insufferable, you suck, and you're the most unpopular dude on Dungeons & Dragons YouTube. You're happy about that. You're not going to be happy about that long term. It's not a recipe for a happy life to have all this negative energy flowing in your direction, brother. But God bless you. Do what you want to do.
Like political science, right? So, in my humble opinion, I very much am I am the foremost expert in the world on Orion Acaba. And by the way, if you're like, no, you're not the foremost expert in the world on Orion Acaba, please point me to the person who is.
Orion Acaba. How about that? Orion Acaba, to the degree that he's got, he's self-aware. And barring that, the person in his personal life who knows him the best, who also is self-aware, and not his like dealer, or someone who's like dim or like enthralled by him, right? Maybe his agent or manager. There you go. How about that? Question answered. There you go, friend. There you go. Boom. Bam.
I'm ready. Like if somebody wrote a book on Orion Acaba, I'm ready to listen to that book, right? Like or read.
No one's gonna ever write a book about Orion Acaba unless he murders somebody, right? That's it.
That book, or buy it and highlight it and write in the margins, right? Like if there's somebody who knows more about Orion Acaba, please say no, Scott, you're not the foremost expert in the world on Orion Acaba, right? The other thing is, can someone who is simply observing and then sharing their opinion, making no truth claims, right?
You make truth claims all the time. We talked about this before. This is a guy who thinks that by saying, in my humble opinion, at the end of his video, wipes the slate clean. I didn't make any truth claims. You make truth claims all the time.
Right? And presenting no facts, simply presenting their opinion after their observations, right? Can that person say they're an expert? Now, also, if you think what I'm doing right now is weird, it's not. And the reason.
Oh, it's not. If you think it's weird, it's not. If I say it's not weird, it's not weird. It's fucking weird.
Like, because you're like, wait, what? What are you saying? And it is extremely unusual, right?
You just said it wasn't weird. Then you just said it was unusual. Okay, it's not weird. It's unusual. Okay, it's unusual. Actually, it's not unusual. You know why? Mental hospitals, right, and psych wards are full of people just like you. There you go. Actually, subway stations, the street corners, local bars and taverns, nursing homes, law firms.
I'm making no fact claims and making.
You're making tons of fact claims,
and I'm presenting no facts and making no truth.
Well, we agree with that. You're presenting no facts
claims. I will at times say that's true. All I'm saying there is it's my opinion that that's true. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's true. I'm saying that's my opinion that this is true. Right?
Well, you're still making a fact claim.
And the way I do that is at the end of every video, I go, hey, I am simply presenting my opinion, right? And so that's my point. And you're like, well, man, that's really odd. It's no longer odd. So I just saw a movie. I got very excited about this.
It's no longer odd. What?
And Alex Garland, the director of War.
Now this is great. I love this because I'm about to again. This is the dude who once told me to do my own research because I didn't know who fucking like one person was. Now watch this. This guy has had plenty of opportunity to be corrected about something. This guy's going to double down on stupid, and I'm about to shove yet another runehammer up his booty because check this out.
Fair did exactly the same thing. right? So he made a
Alex Garland co-directed a movie called Warfare. He did not write it, but here we go.
A Hollywood movie about war. And
wait,
this is why I'm
I
excited.
stepped all over that. So I'm just going to rewind a little because I just want to make sure I can just boo this.
A Hollywood movie about.
I hate this, but I love this.
And Alex Garland, the director of Warfare, did exactly the same thing, right? So he made a Hollywood movie about war, and this is why I'm excited, because I believe it is totally okay to do what I'm doing, right? He made a
It's totally unrelated, but here we go.
Hollywood movie about war, and then he presented it, and he said everything based on memory, right? So what they did was they just sat down with soldiers and said, tell us what you remember about this moment in this real war event.
Wrong! The guy who actually directed the movie, along with co-director Alex Garland, who Alex Garland met on the site of, who was the guy was a stuntman. His name was like Menendez or something. I forgot. I'm not going to look at this shit up. He wrote the screenplay and directed, along with Alex Garland as co-director, is a stuntman, and he was the military expert on Alex Garland's movie Civil War. He wrote the screenplay himself based on his own memories of what happened to him and his platoon on one day in 2003 or something in Iraq. So it was based on his memory alone. They didn't sit down with a whole bunch of other soldiers. It was one dude.
Right? And those American soldiers told them everything they could remember about the war, right?
Wrong, douchebag. Do your own research. Fuck face. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's not your fault that you have a problem comprehending reality. It's not your children's fault that you're their dad. Sorry, that's shitty. I'm fucking so sorry. Jesus Christ. Please. Get me through this shit, man. I want to be a better person. I want to be a better person for J.Scott Gariby. Right? You know what I mean? I'm trying to do this, but the guy is and it's going to be tough because he's going to say some nasty shit about race.
And then Alex Garland looked up nothing, fact-checked nothing.
He didn't have to, because he didn't write the script. The script was written by a guy who was actually there in Iraq, a country you referred to as just some country full of a lot of sand, with a long name, with a lot of Q's and a lot of A's. Really, a lot of Q's and a lot of A's in the name Iraq. It's got exactly one Q, one A, but I could see how you were thrown by all the other letters. You know, those two other letters, I and R. Dumb.
Made no claims, just said, this is my memory, right? And so I think that's the future. That is the absolute future of all information. No one ever again should make any truth claims, or, you know.
That's what you think is the future? That no one makes any truth claims? Well, first of all, dude just did it from memory, based on his memory. He didn't have to do. The fuck are you talking about? What does that have to do with you being an expert in Orion Acaba, an individual you have no memories of because you never met him?
They're just like, hey, I'm presenting my opinion. You can trust me or you can't. Right? You can choose to trust me or you can choose not to trust me. That's totally okay, right? And if
no one trusts you,
anybody out there is like, Scott, I think your opinion's terrible, I don't like it, that's no problem, right? I'm not trying to convince. You do not need to strain yourself to believe me, right?
No one's straining themselves to believe you. No one believes you.
If you don't like the way I'm presenting information, there's no victims here, only volunteers, right? Like, if you don't like anything I'm saying, I'm not asking you to stay here, right? All of this.
No, we get that. We're not going away, though. I know. I understand that. I appreciate that you desire that people that don't agree with you, just that you have a magical fantasy that you're going to make these videos. They're going to be observed by people that come and just like you and like what you're saying and agree with you, and everyone else is just going to go away and leave you alone. That's not how the internet works, brosif. That's not how the internet works, homie.
You know, like, only intake what you like. And if you don't like my content, don't stick around. Don't listen to it.
No, we're going to stick around. We're going to stick around. We're not going anywhere. Okay? No one's going anywhere. You're going to make these videos. You're going to say these ridiculous things. We're going to watch you say these ridiculous things, and we're going to comment on them. And we're going to comment on them, not on your comment section where this traffic goes to you. We're going to comment on them here, outside, and you're just gonna fucking deal with it.
To another word, right? So I did want to ask that. Am I able to say I am the foremost expert in the world on
You can ask that, and we can answer no.
Orion Acaba? And if you think the answer is no, I challenge you. I'm willing to hear you say no, but I'm not gonna take you serious if you can't say, oh, this person is the Orion Acaba expert, right? Then
You're not gonna take it serious if we say what?
Then I'm willing to hear you, right? Like,
okay, then you're willing to hear us. This other person's the expert, Orion Acaba. Bam. You don't like that answer? Okay. Orion Acaba's folks, or his brothers and sisters, or his best friend, or his manager, or anyone else that's met him in real life. They're the foremost expert, not you, who's never met the dude.
So if your answer is no, you're not the foremost expert in the world on Orion Acaba, then the question then is, who is, right? And please point me to them. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider like and subscribe.
Nope. Not that. Okay. Hold on, folks.
I mean, I'm a fetch millennium. Hi, friends. It's your pal, Scott.
Okay, we're good.
Hi.
I'm sharing for a second. Hold on, folks. Hold on, folks. Entertain yourselves in the Tom Tremaine. There you go. Foremost expert is on Orion Acaba is his mom. There you go. I like it. I like it. There you go. Here we go. Let me do this. Take off these headphones. Give my ears a break. Yikes. There you go. Here we go. Do. Council will concede JSG is a qualified Orion Acaba expert, Your Honor. There you go. Introduce him. You gotta put him on the stand. There'll be a question and answer period. Man, you go feed the dogs and look who goes live. Chili Beans goes live. There you go. I think you got the gold medal on I think you got the gold medal on Twitch though, Jonah Side. Tim Frey. I don't know Orion Acaba, but I feel one of us should reach out and warn him. So I do well in University of Phoenix? Absolutely. All I knew was Cotton. First words in The Butler, Oscar-winning movie, R.I.P. Robin Williams. There you go. My God, there's so many. There you go. I'm one of the foremost observers of CW Chanter. There you go. Hey, listen. In my humble opinion, is not a get out of jail free card. Check Chambers. Hey, Benjamin, glad I caught you live again. This is way better entertainment than sleeping. Okay, I lied. The Butler did not win an Academy Award. Keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. Don't tell us. Don't tell us. There you go. Golden Coin 100 is here. Gold medal collector. Golden Coin, you slept on us. Here, listen, folks. Hold on 2 seconds. Let me see if this call goes through. Hold on. If the call actually goes through, I'll put you on mute. Until then, I'll talk to you. It's not guaranteed that anyone will answer. You know how, being that I'm their dad. So what's in the news today? I got 2 kids to try. That went right to voicemail. So here we go. So then I'll try the other one. And then what will happen is that one of them will call me back. In theory. Oh, here we go. I only lost one viewer during that whole thing. You guys are awesome. Can I tell you something about kids? You gotta love kids, right? I'm telling you. Normally, I see my kids on average 6 days a week, right? And we're planning. We're working on plans to get me back in the household, right? And normally, at they're 13, they're going to be 14 in a hot minute. And at this stage of life, I swear to you, whenever it comes down, it's one of the days that I don't see them, and it's coming down to a phone call. Christ as my witness, right? The phone call is, "Hey guys, it's Dad. What's that? Nothing. Oh, okay." Did they hang up already? I got calling back. "I love you. Oh, we love you too, Dad." But of course, the day that I'm streaming, the one kid's like, "Oh yeah, let me just talk to you. Like, I'm gonna break down an anime I saw. Let me just let you in on the plot." Of course, right? Two of Cups, the devil, King of Swords, Fire of Fire. Well, you know what I mean? And isn't that the great? Yeah, so we got Two of Cups. Whether it's me and the interaction with J.Scott Gariby, we got a lot of listen. Then we got the devil with this twain energy here with the two lovers, incorporated the devil. You got could be me and Scott Gariby as well. You know what I mean? The duality, the energies mixing together, and then the King of Swords, fire and fire. But I get this juxtaposition because you have this like purity of interaction, denigrating, but then coming into the one. And this could be me and Scott, or it could be him and Orion Acaba, right? But it's also a powerful lesson, like staring into the void, and then it turns into you. Watch out. And on that note, why not just dive right back into the fire? Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience. Jelly beans, my 14-year-old won't say anything to me in that, but talks his brother's ear off if he's driving him. Thank you. Golden Coin Wonder, we are all just casuals trying to find a way through the barricade of erected informational knowledge. You know that? Absolutely. Here we go. Am I indeed the foremost expert on Orion Acaba? The next one up is, here we go. This is where we get the controversial statements about race aspect of our title of today's video. Woo-wee! Have you seen the Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan vampire film Sinners? Well, it's not really the interesting thing. It's not really that movie for us, but it's really going to be interesting. I told you once that J.Scott Gariby is of the opinion that members of the LGBT community need not worry about their minority status because, according to him, they really don't have a minority status. Well, guess who else doesn't have a minority status? The answer might surprise you. Let's watch this together. And like I said at the top of our show, for a guy who lives in funky, cool town Philly, J.Scott Gariby is awfully lucky that a certain demographic doesn't seem to watch that much D&D content. I kid. There are plenty of African American people who play D&D, right? Well, if there are, J.Scott Gariby, we hardly knew you. I kid, because I'm like, look, if there are any African American, there are plenty of African American players of D&D. Of course. They just don't watch my channel, so it's fine. And of course, we do not encourage anyone to encounter or talk to anyone else, ever. We like solo play here. Dancing with myself.
Hi, friends. Your pal, Scott Garibay, and today we are
We're not friends. I keep on telling you. I'm kidding. I'd love to play with this guy.
going to talk about American politics, and we're going to talk about Ryan Coogler's 5 out of 5 star Hollywood banger, Sinners. It's a Black directed, Black acted vampire movie, right?
You'd have to tell me because you know what? I don't see color. It's a medical condition. No, I'm kidding.
And you're like, why are we going to talk about that in context of politics? Because it is the most important film of 2025, bar none. Without
the most important film of 2020. Well, it's only April. I'm not even going to look at the films that were released this year because I don't know, you know what I mean? But hey, I'm sure it's a great movie.
a doubt. And so we're going to talk about it. So let's dig in. All right. So by the way, spoilers for Sinner in this content. Okay. So this movie is absolutely incredible. And the reason why we're talking about it right now in context to American, so I believe, so my contention is that this movie is important it is American historically important.
It's American historically important. It's not only the most important movie of 2025, apparently it's a historically important movie. I don't know if that's true. It's a pretty high bar, but
It's American politically important. And what we're going to talk about today.
American politically important. Oh.
Is the American politically important. So America has an absolutely atrocious history with being fair to African Americans, right? We brought them in 1775.
So bear that in mind. He dates the beginning of the slave trade to right before. Hold on, I have to deal with something right now. I've got hold on. Hold on 1 second. I've got another thing going on. Hold on, bear in mind. I gotta mute this. Hold on.
And for 90 years, forced them to labor for America, with no pay. And
wait, where am I? What the fuck? Hold on. Okay. So I'm very happy and proud to report the following. We're going to speed through this stream and I'm going to tell you why. You know? I have been called to speed through this stream because my ex-wife, and I told her, I said, I'm going to do what you want me to do. So first I said to her, I'm going to do what you want me to do, but I'm going to finish this stream first. She says, well, how long is the stream going to be? And I said, it's going to be as long as it's going to be. She said, well, then forget it. I said, well, then, okay, I'm going to speed through the stream, but I'm going to tell people then what you're having me do. She said, what you're going to say? I said, I'm going to say what the truth is. This is okay. So here's the deal. My ex-wife, who is not necessarily a paranoid person, we had an incident recently with a weirdo. It was a weird incident. It was some sort of weirdo coming to the door, and we had to call the cops. And it was like, so then ever since then, she's been paranoid. And then whatchamacallit, the other, let's just call them Karens on the block, they all get, thing happens to one person, and they all start talking. They get onto the Facebook moms group, the local Facebook moms group, and they all get each other crazy. So they've all been getting each other crazy. One person has one incident, another person has another incident. They all get involved in each other. And once they get, one person has an incident, they get all hooked up on these phone trees. And so anyway, she saw something. This is like karma, right? We're gonna watch J.Scott Gariby, but then we gotta speed through this bullshit. I'm gonna cover what I'm gonna cover, but I'm telling you with it. But the thing is this: anyone who's got any doubts that I'm headed back into the household, fuck your mother. I'm back. Here we go. Ironically, let's hear J.Scott Gariby talk about how the guy that she saw, she did not tell me. Now, here's the other thing that's great, because we are also terminally white, me and the ex-wife, right? Because I'm like, well, what do you want to do? You want to call the cops? I don't want to do that. Because you want to bother me, but you don't want to be one of those ladies calling the cops. Anyway, here we go. Thank you for staying with me. I gained the viewer, didn't lose anyone this time. Holy shit. Here we go. Evangelical Christian who hosts a home Bible study group for his church is viewing vampire movies. Go figure. Now, I'm not sure what kind of Christian sees vampire movies and wishes woe and suffering onto people, but J.Scott Gariby apparently does both. Absolutely. Be patient. He'll be back and breathing fire. I'll be back and headed back, and then I got to hit the road. And then what's going to happen when I get there? You know what she's going to act like? She's going to act like, you're here. Or she's going to watch this and be like, why'd you say that? Why'd you act like I'm a Karen? Why'd you act like I'm a racist Karen? I never said anything. I didn't say. All I said was he was wearing a cap. And he looked exactly like that other guy. You had said yourself that I was right to call the cops on that other time on the other guy. That other thing was a freaky thing. Now, the other time, there was a legitimate thing she called the cops. The guy came to the door and was acting all crazy.
And absolutely abominable human rights violations. 90 years of that, right?
Oh, again, okay, so where we were is that he dates the start of the American slave trade to 1755, or 1775, right before the American Revolution or whatever. That's not when it started, bro, right?
Then it ended in 1865, and things started to get better, right?
Things started to get better the minute the Emancipation Proclamation happened. Then things started to get better, right? Everything was fine the minute Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Of course, that's what you read in those little 5-page little books when you're in kindergarten class or first grade and you first start learning your first lessons on American history. Of course, this is a 55-year-old man who should know that the history of slavery and race relations in America, is a little bit more sophisticated and nuanced than that. He doesn't know that because he's a LOLCOW, wonderful man on the internet. Show us both those cheeks and make an ass of yourself. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I forget to mention that he's an American? He's a Native American? He's not, but he says he is.
And at this point, and then I think the high point of this was the election of Barack Obama.
Ever since Barack Obama, everything's been fine for the African American population in the United States of America, right? Oh, there was George Floyd. And well, there's been a whole bunch of other things, but
that was the point where, hey, you guys have been, until then,
you guys, what a Christian, right? You guys.
I used to really like rap music, right? I think literally rap changed when Obama came in, because
literally rap changed when Obama came in.
Rap was born out of anger. You listen to they're like, this is angry music because we're angry at America. But at that point, the president's right.
Like Rapper's Delight.
Right there, like, you have a black president, he can make whatever you want happen, right? Like,
he can make whatever you want happen. You have a black president. Another way to say that would be, we as Americans have a black president. He can make whatever you want happen. Whatever you want happen. The black president can do whatever you want as black people can happen. Well, that sounds like a crazy racist thing that a crazy white racist would say. Could he give them all Obama phones?
You're not you're not being subjected to American cruelty and offense at this point. You literally are at the top of the chain. Like,
you're at the top of the chain. Now that Barack Hussein Obama has been elected president, you have nothing to complain about because you're at the top of the chain. No one has to feel any white guilt about anything happening to African Americans anymore because one dude got elected president. That's why I think J.Scott Gariby is an asshole, in my opinion. I will no longer feel any guilt or shame for covering this man. This guy is a fucking douchebag, in my opinion. I won't mock his physical appearance or do anything that is explicitly illustrated as a no-no in the YouTube terms of service. But insofar as he's defined himself as literally, a public figure, the gold standard in the D&D commentary community, I will criticize the gold standard and the number one D&D commenter in America and say he objectively is an ignorant racist, a poor example, an evangelical Christian, and a clear and shining example of why degrees from the University of online degrees from the University of Phoenix are not worth a damn, and that place is clearly a diploma mill. According to his LinkedIn, he's not actually delivering DoorDash, but actually has some sort of actual job. The world might be better served if he was delivering DoorDash. And keep those hands on the wheel.
What's happening is what you choose to happen because you have the highest, most powerful man in the world. You're like, wait a minute.
Because that's how it works. If you think that's how it works, you are of clearly subnormal political intelligence. You have a degree in political science? Press X to doubt. Whatever university gave you a degree in political science should be ashamed of themselves because you lack a fundamental knowledge of civics.
Wait a second, Scott. I don't know if one man can really change the world overnight. That debate is over. I think President Donald Trump has proven 100% that President.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He absolutely did by throwing through all those illegal executive orders and doing all those tariffs, tanking the American economy. He's actually we're on the brink of a new depression. We went from the wonderful Biden economy, which was actually amazingly well and good, despite what you morons like to think and brainwashed yourselves into believing. That was actually a good economy. Now we're on the brink of a new depression, thanks to President Moron. But no, despite that, when people actually follow the Constitution and the law, and the executive branch functions as a functioning executive branch and respects the checks and balances as our government is intended to function, it doesn't work that way.
Don't need to sit around and do nothing. If you are sitting around and doing nothing, like Biden, that is a choice, right? Like it's not because you can't change things; it's because you're choosing not to change things, right? So, and Obama did change things. He murked a bunch of world leaders.
He murked a bunch of world leaders. What world leaders did Barack Obama kill with drones? As he's about to say,
drones.
There were leaders of terrorist organizations that were hit with drones, and there are questions about his actions. You know what he said he was going to do regarding Guantanamo, the closing of Guantanamo Bay. They didn't do certain actions that we thought they was going to do regarding Afghanistan and Iraq that there weren't follow through on. Some things about rendition that he didn't do, but none of the things that you said. He didn't murk world leaders. He didn't take out Putin with a drone. The hell are you talking about? No one knows what you're talking about because you're fucking talking out of your ass, you fucking moron.
Decriminalized 420.
He did not decriminalize 420. There's no federal marijuana is still illegal federally. There's been decriminalization of marijuana on state levels. There's no federal decriminalization of marijuana. So that didn't happen. You just said another thing that's incorrect because you're dumb, ignorant, ill-informed, and just run your mouth off.
Huge change there. Changed the shape of America.
No, that didn't happen. So there's no huge change there.
America massively. And he said
it didn't change America massively because it didn't fucking happen, you idiot. Aren't you embarrassed?
LGBTQ, love is love is love. You guys get to get married. Massive change in American culture. Like he really changed the world, right? And then what did he do about the police? No.
Well, that did happen. And then you have President Trump who tried to sign an executive order saying that all trans people had to get out of the U.S. military. Thank God, judges correctly said, well, this is unconstitutional. And there stays on all those things. Thank God, because that's going to would get rid of, it went through, get rid of a lot of great military people who are actually doing functionally good things. So he wants to get rid of functional people in the U.S. military while keeping Pete Hegseth, who's involved now in 2 signal gates, in. Wonderful. But I don't want to get political. Let's just keep it on our wonderful child of God here, J.Scott Gariby, super genius of the millennium.
Nothing, right? He was like, the police are fine. Keep them the way they are.
Yeah, that's what he did. Police are fine. Because, you know, the United States president has great authority over state-controlled police forces.
And, like, at that point, does rap music work anymore? Like, if you're angry, why? Like, you had a chance now to change it, right? Like,
yeah. Rap music doesn't work anymore because nobody has anything to be angry about. And as we all know, all rap music is made by African-American individuals.
So it's pretty incredible. Like we have but we have this terrible history of America interacting with African-Americans, right?
African-Americans are Americans. You moron.
So there's always this question of, are we getting better or are we getting worse, right? Well, this film is massive proof that America is genuinely getting better in
some ways
how it treats African-Americans. Ryan Coogler has a $1 billion success, which is the Black Panther movie. He was given everything he needed to succeed by Marvel.
Again, using things are getting better for Black people in America because Barack Obama and the Ryan Coogler was able to make the Black Panther movie. You see, Herman Cain is a successful Black man, so what's there to complain about? Huh? Don King was successful. There's a lot of rich people in the NBA. What are people complaining about? MC Hammer got rich. What do you mean Black people can't make it in America?
And he did.
Creflo Dollar says all you have to do to get rich is pray.
Did it. He worked hard and he delivered a banger. Like he is a $1 billion director and he is Black. That there's not like I don't think you could fill one. You couldn't start counting on a hand with with all the fingers on one hand and count and be able to count all the fingers on your hand with Black directors who have $1 billion movies. Right there, it's extremely rare. Right. So, and also, so what's interesting here is not only has Ryan Coogler fully arrived, but the deal he cut for Sinners is politically American, politically important. It answers the question. Yes, genuinely, America is genuinely interacting with African Americans in a fair and equitable manner.
We're dealing with African Americans in a fair and equitable manner. Proof is one black dude got a great deal with one film company. J.Scott Gariby, you can dine upon 1,000 dicks in hell. I think you are. I am ashamed of. I'm half Puerto Rican, half Ashkenazi Jew, and 8% black. The 8% black in me is very offended. To say nothing of the half Puerto Rican, I've got. Hey, listen. I know that I think it's the 8% African part of me is on the 50% Puerto Rican side. I'm assuming. I think I have no idea. Maybe some melange. Anyway, all of me is offended by you. You suck. You really do. You're trash. That's how I feel. Okay. I'll pray on that. I know I need to pray on that, but that's how you have me feeling because you are an embarrassment to Caucasian white dudes. You make me want to die a death of despair. That's how much you suck. But the one thing that gives me satisfaction is the fact that you have no friends. No one wants to play D&D with you. It's a good thing. You got kicked out of all those tables, not because the dungeon master was mean, not because the other dragon masters were being unfair to you. It's because you suck. If I show up in Pennsylvania or Philadelphia at your local game store, I'll have a pickup game of Dungeons & Dragons going in 3 seconds. They're all going to be, you're awesome, Benjamin. You're great. We want to play with you again and again and again. You're a little bit caustic and rude, and your politics are like, Bernie Sanders, Fagala, but still, yet we love you. You're the greatest. You make us laugh. You have an electrifying personality, unlike that J.Scott Gariby piece of garbage who's just like, and I'll be like, yeah, I know that guy sucks. Let's go throw things at him in front of his kids. Then we'll invite his kids to join along with us in a merry round of chanting. J.Scott Gariby. He thinks he's Moses, dude. Anyway, fuck you. Sorry. I'm sorry, but he sucks so bad. This guy sucks so fucking bad. Anyway, with Identity Stack, I think we're skipping over. And we got that one. So we got the two bangers. I think we might end there. Hold on. Okay, wait, let me just do an this one we're just going to pick up from this thing. Hold on. We're just going to like cherry pick from this point. Hold on. I'm sorry, I know I'm losing my cool. Get her a sign that says we don't call 911. That could be a deterrent. I don't know. My God, how could he just spout off all these wrong facts? He's just so stupid. Somehow all rap is angry. I know, like we all know that Fire track, that all that angry gangster rap that De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest used to spit. Meanwhile, this guy's conception of rap is what about, like, oh my God, oh Jesus Christ. He previously has said that he was like really into that guy I fucking hate. Who's Post Malone, right? I can't wait until he sees Blackula. We're gonna get more. Now you know how I feel about sobriety, right, folks? Watch this idiot say stupid shit about sobriety. Watch this fucking moron say shit about sobriety now. This is going to be great. We're picking it up at 6 minutes and 30 seconds. If we enter in a little bit cold, that's cool.
Characters are in me, and some portions of those player characters are in me now. I've seen the sunrise on 30 worlds, right? Like
he's seen the sunrise on 30 worlds. That's like a cold ass statement if it didn't come from this loser. I'm sorry, this human being with human fallibilities who if I'm reacting strongly to this guy, it's probably a sign that I see a lot of myself in him. That the parts of me that I don't like.
I have 30 sets of emotion, sensation, memory, experience. I'm manifold sentient, right? Like
and manifold sentient. You're manifold. He's saying that he's manifold sentient because he's got 30 player characters. This is why he gets kicked out of tables all the time, because he refuses to let his player characters die. That's the real problem. He won't let his player characters die, right? He freaks out if his player characters die, and if his player character dies, he thinks that everybody needs to stop everything so that you can mourn the death of his player. And the fact that he's got these 30 characters that have never died, right? That have never died in any D&D campaign goes to show you that he can't stand it when player characters die. So he pitches a fit when any of his characters are about to die, or he fouls a roll that will mean that one of his characters dies. So he freaks out and says that he's got, something happened, something that was unfair. The dungeon master did something cruel or wrong. And that's why he keeps on getting kicked out of tables, because he won't let any of these characters die. That's the backstory. That's what people keep on saying about him. He's got lore about him. He's been playing Dungeons and Dragons in the same fucking isolated Pennsylvania backwater for a million fucking years. Everybody knows the deal with him. That's why no one will play with him.
And Orion was there too, right?
And he thinks he's got their fucking manifold experiences in him, because, dude, there were fucking characters in the D&D campaigns. They have the manifold experience of what? Eating fucking Goodberry and shit? Like, the fuck you talking about, homie?
He was not a man whose number one priority was sobriety, but
we're talking about Orion Acaba now, because Orion Acaba wasn't sober, but Tiberius Stormwind, apparently the dragonborn fucking sorcerer, was.
Tiberius was, right? And this is tactical infinity. This is where the rubber meets the road.
This is tactical infinity. This is where rubber meets the road. That sounds like a heavy metal lyric. This is tactical infinity. This is where the rubber hits the road.
Rest of the world is living. The world is a prison for these people, right? You and I, we're not trapped here, right? We can live in different. There's our physical self and there's our paper selves, right? And
oh my God. This world is a prison for them. But there's our physical self and there's our paper self. We could live in all these different worlds. Come with me to a world of infinite imagination. Meanwhile, come with me to this secret place we know in New York City called the Vault. We take off all our clothes at the door, and there are these chicks that'll spank our asses. We could walk around naked and jerk off on people. Dude, your paper self is a joke, man. You got to get out into the real world and, like, tap some ass and, like, fucking, you know what I mean? Like, jump off a building and, like, get someone punched in the face and live.
We have just a much more rich and robust life.
That's what you think is happening? That's what you think is happening in TTRPG land? That the TTRPG people are living a much more robust life?
And I thought it was so beautiful, and that Orion Acaba's number one priority was not sobriety, right? But for Tiberius Stormwind, it was, right? And
now watch this part.
That I was like, well, wait a second. Was he going to pour that back into himself, right? Did he put sobriety being a priority into Tiberius so he could pour himself into Tiberius and then pour Tiberius back into himself and keep the sobriety part, right? And if we can do that, do you understand the ramifications of that? Right? Like, people are spending tens of thousands of dollars to make sobriety their main priority, right? And here Orion was showing a path to that 10 years ago, right?
He wasn't showing a path to that, because that is not a path to sobriety. There are sober D&D groups as ancillary activities attached to other rehab communities and other sobriety communities. I'm not here to tell other people how to get sober. I'm not here to tell other people how to get clean. But there's nothing in Orion Acaba's behavior on Critical Role or his interaction with his original character, Tiberius Stormwind, to indicate that he was doing anything. And people spend tens of thousands of dollars to get sober. Yeah, there are a lot of people that end up spending tens of thousands of dollars in rehab. But there's a lot of people who get sober for free, or the price of $1 in the basket if they got $1 put in the basket. Hold on. Now I'm getting text. Watch this. Never mind. I'll just sleep downstairs with my eyes open. Closing down the stream now, darling. Okay? We're ending.
Ramifications are absolutely massive.
They're not massive. Okay? He says when PC dies, they can come visit you in this realm as a ghost. You have to find that video. Yeah, it's probably part of the Infinity videos. There you go, right? Here we go, folks. Here we go, folks. It's 10 o'clock and I'm about to hit the road. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yo, it's 10 o'clock and I'm about to hit the road. And the card I get, the Knight of Pentacles. Heir of Earth. I'm called to go on a journey. My duty awaits. Have fun storming the castle. Actually, it's the reverse. It's like Bizarro storming the castle, right? I love you. I love you. I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, somebody just did. That somebody is Orion Acaba. If we hadn't done this, we'd have gone to the golden path of the American male death, and including J.Scott Gariby telling us that cremation is evil. Orion Acaba encoded into his final appearances on Critical Role the fact that we die twice, we get buried twice, making Orion Acaba essentially some sort of like basically Jesus, right? Burying us twice. I gotta go, folks. I love you. I love you. I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, somebody just did. Someone told you they loved you twice, right? Can you believe this shit? Duty calls, and I am blessed. I am blessed and so happy to be able to go somewhere. Peace be upon you.